Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Thursday the 11th of July and today we'll start with uranium. This is the uranium ETF that was up almost 4.5% yesterday after President Biden signed an advanced act supporting the nuclear power industry, so it benefited especially the mining companies yesterday. And here we can see that the uranium ETF are very close to breaking bullish on the RSI, just needs to close above 60. Let's see where we will start today and end today especially. Can it also get back above the cloud? But it seems like after this correction it's starting to maybe building an uptrend. The medium-term uptrend has been intact. Looking at Cameco, which is the biggest one, closed above the cloud, and RSI did not close back above 60, but it has never been in negative sentiment, so it seems to be pushing higher, and there should be more upside potential for the uranium stocks the coming days and weeks. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cameco making new highs in the coming weeks. And looking at the weekly chart, going back to the weekly chart, we can see here a very strong uptrend indeed. If it takes out the previous peak or previous all-time high of 56.25, well, then we are looking at much higher levels. There is a bit divergence on the RSI, though, that could is warning a little bit, but the uptrend seems fairly strong. On the overall market, S&P 500 pushed higher, above 56.63. It is now eyeing 6,000. Whether we'll get up there, it's highly debatable. I don't think so, but 5,700, maybe a little bit higher, is not unlikely. And if we are looking at the weekly chart, just to get an idea, after, we talked about this cup and handle before, with some Fibonacci projection and extension and so on, well, then we're looking at 5,722, which is the same height as the cup here, and added to the brim of the cup. So interesting times, and I think the market, it is a little bit stressed, but it could continue a few more weeks, I believe. Also, Nasdaq 100s are very close to moving into 21,000, 21,423. It seems that is what it is eyeing. We should still be cautious, though. Very stretched uptrend, but it looks strong, but suddenly we can see a correction. So keep your stops closed. But we are talking about very strong uptrend indeed. But we will get some corrections on the way. On the European markets, on the other hand, still struggling here. S&P Eurostoxx 50. 5,000 is the key level. It really needs to close above 5,000 and above the cloud, and preferably also take out these spikes up here before we can build an uptrend. We are negative sentiment, but the 48.88 support is still holding on. So it seems like we are being caught in this range here between 4,900 and 5,000 for a while. Really needs to break out of that. DAX, could we have another go at 18,630? Well, that's going to be interesting here the next couple of days, and we really need the RSI to break back above 60 threshold for further upside potential. A market that is still on fire is the Amsterdam index. Now we are pushing towards 950. Some are talking about 1,000. I don't think we will see that. But what is interesting is that the RSI is very close to break above the upper falling trend line here, which is, RSI is showing divergence, and which is a sign of a stretch uptrend. But again, you should trust the trend, and as long as we stay above 918, well, then we are happy. First warning, if of a trend reversal would be a break below the rising trend line here. And if I was trading this, and this is just for educational purposes, then I would place now my stop here, 930, and that could be also the first warning shot combined with a break below the rising trend line. But 950, it seems we are looking at, and possibly a little bit higher. CAC a little bit higher this morning, but still in this range here between 74.64 and 77.25. That is the range. It really needs to close either below or above for any direction. I think here next couple of days probably try to push higher towards 2700. Swiss market really strong this morning. I haven't seen the news why it is so strong. If it can close above the peak here of this doji evening star-like pattern here, well, that is 12,295. It can close above that level. Well, then it is cancelled, and we are likely to see higher levels towards 12,500. What we can do also get a little bit of guesstimate, I would say. Where could it move to? See, we're very close to, well, 12,438, but a potential up to around 12,526. Euro dollar trying to push higher, and I think we will have a test of the 108.52 resistance later today. And I also do believe actually that it will break higher, because this is not the strongest resistance. And then we are looking at 109 area, this area where we have seen the latest peak here, short-term peak here in June. I think we will see that. We're still having the moving averages pointing higher, supporting a little bit. Euro sterling, on the other hand, it's really heavy. Currently, as we speak, we are below 84.28 support, and I think we will see it push lower. We can see the RSI is back below 40. It actually did occur yesterday, and a retest of the key support at 84 will likely to be tested in a few days if it takes it out. But if it breaks below, and especially if it closes below, then we are looking at lower levels towards 83.5, 83.40. Cable pushing higher, 129, where we have some resistance in that area. There's no divergence on the RSI. I think it could also push higher, potentially up to 129. Well, 120 to 130 actually. If we just zoom out a little bit, we can see where it comes from. That is just that, so it's not that strong really, that resistance. And we could just do this and add Fibonacci to it and try to see, okay, what are we talking about here? Well, possibly 29.5, 29.55. The yen pairs. Dollar yen is trying to push higher here. If it takes out 161.95, well, then there is a potential up to around 163. But RSI is lagging a little bit, so we are a little bit stressed on the dollar yen. Euro yen just ticking higher, and let's see where are we with the RSI, 77.94. And it is very close to cancelling this divergence we have here. If we close above on 78 or higher on the RSI, well, then it's cancelling. Then there's further upside potential towards 177.50. Aussie yen also pushing higher. No divergence, so there is potential higher towards 110, and maybe that will create some news. But we are quite stressed, and now what I would do, I will actually add a trend line just for a little bit of guidance. Say, okay, if it does break below that one, then we could see a test of the 107.89, a minor support. Below that, well, then we are looking for a larger correction. Sterling yen also pushing higher. Currently no divergence on the RSI, indicating we are likely to see it pushing higher. And remember, there's no strong resistance until 240. I'm not saying we will move to that area, at least not in the short term. We need a little bit more correction coming in before I think we could get energy up to that. But we are in an uptrend, a very strong uptrend. No divergence, indicating we're likely to push higher on the sterling yen. But keep your stops closed, because it's really very stretched at the moment. Aussie dollar pushing towards the 68 level. I think we'll reach that in a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks. It is not that strong, but it is in a positive sentiment, likely pushing higher. Dollar Canada is still in this range here. Doesn't really do much. 135.90 is the support to look out for. EURUSD seems to turn around. It didn't get all the way down to the 38.2 retracement. If it takes out the previous peak here at 97.55, well, then I think we will see a push higher towards above 98, actually, towards 98.40 area, and then we are possibly also seeing pushing higher in the coming weeks. Dollar Swiss lagging a little bit. It seems like it's being squeezed between the 55 moving average and the levels around the 89.40. If it takes out that, well, then we're looking at 89.12, possibly down to 88.75. Remember, there's no divergence on the RSI. It is actually in a negative sentiment, and if it breaks below, oops, hang on. Let's see, we need to place it right there. It's currently testing its lower rising trend line. A close below, then I think we will see a retest of the 40 threshold. A close below that, well, then expect a dollar Swiss in the region around 88.75. Dollar index finally. Below the 55 moving average, I think we'll see a test of the 104.26 support and the 200 moving average. We are below the cloud, so we are very close to confirming a negative trend. If we get the RSI to close below 40, then well, then I think that will play out, that scenario. Gold slowly crawling higher. Yesterday it tested the 23.88 again. But we are in an uptrend. There is positive sentiment on the RSI, so I think we will see it pushing higher. And if it takes out 23.88 again, and also above the 23.93, well, then look for 24.50 in the coming days. Silver also slowly pushing higher. And I think we will push higher here in the next couple of days. I mean, it is a little bit heavy, but we do have an uptrend, confirmed uptrend. Platinum, on the other hand, seems quite heavy after collapsing following the, well, it closed above the cloud actually. It closed above 10.15, but then it couldn't hold on. So let's see if it takes out 9.74, well, then push towards a 9.50, 9.45 is probably in the cards. On the copper, it is still 469.60. That is the key resistance. If it breaks above that, well, then we're looking at 488. Otherwise, a little bit of a setback here. We are still in negative sentiment, so it seems a little bit heavy, but I think we will see it moving higher in the coming days and weeks. The crude oil actually bounced just above the 100 moving average, just above 80, about 60. I actually did expect it to dip down to around 80 level, but it didn't all the way down. We're still in a positive sentiment, so we will have another go at the 84.46. If we do, well, then we're looking at 87.50, possibly higher. Crude oil, Brent crude oil, almost all the way down to 38.2 retracement, but not quite there. It's lacking a little bit. The WTI contract, but we are above the cloud, so maybe here in a couple of days, I think we will take it slowly higher. We're also in a positive sentiment supporting that picture. And finally, as usual, the US Treasury yield, well, not much to say, just trading sideways still. It has this range it needs to break out on. And my money is on, not that I'm invested, but my money is on 417 support to be tested. Whether broken or not, that's debatable. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.